English booth. This is, okay, this is the English booth. Can you hear the English booth? The English booth at the CMS COP15. Can you hear the English booth? Très bien.
Testing, testing the English channel. Can you hear me?
Buenos días, estamos probando el canal español.
E agora?
Agora eu tô te escutando.
Tá me ouvindo, né? E agora? No 4, no canal de inglês.
Pode falar.
Inglês.
Tô te escutando.
Tá me ouvindo, né? Você me escuta no inglês? No inglês?
Pode falar.
Inglês?
Inglês.
Inglês. E agora, tá me ouvindo no inglês? No inglês.
Pode falar.
No inglês. No inglês. Tá? Agora, você tá me ouvindo no inglês, né?
Inglês.
This is the English booth. Can you hear the English booth? Okay. Obrigada.
And the second interpreter on the English channel, testing, testing. Great, thank you.
quando lá estiver falando inglês, você for traduzir no português. Apagar ela e falar só isso, o inglês. Tá, vamos. Inglês lá, liga a luz. Isso. Aí o Wesley, quando está aqui, está acompanhando, às vezes pode confundir. Atrás. Você vai botar no papelzinho, para falar só.
I'm doing it on purpose. Put it louder. Dear delegate, we'll be starting the opening ceremony soon. Please take your seat. Thank you. Please take your seat. That's my finger. That's my finger. I didn't punch the microphone. He keeps changing the volume up and down. Can you make up your mind with the volume? Don't play with it again. Please take your seat. Thank you.
Por favor, assumam seus lugares. Em breve começaremos a reunião.
Pois
Oi. 1, 2, 3.
entraram mais 2 pessoas. Parte da equipe. Tô pronta. Tá.
Bom dia. A escolha desse lugar, o bioma Pantanal, se justifica por algumas razões especiais. Quase 200 espécies usam esse bioma fascinante e sagrado, que é rota de migração e palco da história da relação do homem com a natureza, marcada pelo respeito e pelo encanto. E como diz o nosso grande poeta sul-mato-grossense, Manuel de Barros, que a importância de uma coisa não se mede com fita métrica, nem com balanças, nem com barômetros, etc. Que a importância de uma coisa há que ser medida pelo encantamento que a coisa produz em nós. Esse é o Pantanal. Eu, como uma representante legítima das mulheres pantaneiras, nascida lá no Rio Taquari, em nome de todas as mulheres e homens pantaneiros, dou boas-vindas. Bienvenidos. Welcome. E nesse momento nós vamos assistir o nosso Pantanal aqui na tela, o nosso vídeo.
Vida boa, vida gostosa, é isso aqui, ó. Viver essa paz, esse sossego aqui, ouvindo o cantar dos pássaros. Só a gente que vive aqui sabe sentir no coração. Não largo disso aqui por nada nesse mundo.
Pantanal, território que tem uma história fascinante.
Nós temos uma diversidade de aves incrível. Diferentes cores, diferentes sabores, diferentes cores. As aves vêm do norte e do sul, do planeta Patagônia, e encontram aqui no Pantanal um lugar seguro de parada no destino final. Pantanal é um grande aeroporto de destinos nacionais e internacionais das aves. Cereja, fruta pintada, são espécies que dependem realmente desse bioma. É o nosso paraíso. E ele precisa ser cuidado para que a gente possa ter isso para as nossas futuras gerações. A gente pensa muito em como educar as crianças para serem pessoas que cuidam daqui. Que são as crianças pantaneiras de hoje e adultos do futuro.
We already palms many trees here. I'm a son of this land. I'm gonna leave a legacy here.
O nosso Pantanal é um dos lugares mais inspiradores do planeta. Sei que tem muito.
I know there's a lot of you, but these places are a huge portal, energetic portal, a poet portal, a portal of ancestry, of poetry, harmony. The Pantanal is a huge symphony, as you could see, different kinds of noises, sounds, each one with your own place inside this beautiful orchestra of cosmos. So we may be here, contribute for this harmony, never, never get out of pitch. With a lot of respect and admiration, I would like to call to compose the table the Minister of Environment and Change of Brazil, Marina Silva. Ms. Elizabeth Mirama, Director Executive of United Nations for the Environment. Ms. Amy Frankel, Secretary Executive of the CMS Convention of Migration Species. Mr. João Paulo Cabibianco, Secretary Executive, Minister of Change Weather, and President designated of COP15, not only for the political designation, but a gesture of respect and personal history of dedication to protect the nature.
Mr. Herman Benjamin, President of Superior Tribunal, Justice Tribunal. Mr. Maurício Lírio, Secretary of Energy and Environment, our External Relations. Mr. Eduardo Vitor, Governor of Mato Grosso do Sul, our biologist governor. He just realized the importance of this event and opened the curtains of Mato Grosso do Sul, mobilizing his whole staff.
Senhora Adriane Lopes,
Mrs. Adriane Lopes, the mayor of Campo Grande.
Senhora Rita Mesquita,
Mrs. Rita
Secretária
Mesquita,
Nacional de Biodiversidade,
National Secretary of
Floresta e Direitos
Biodiversity,
Animais.
Forest and Animals Rights.
Oi? Minha vez agora? Ela vai falar em português.
Podem ocupar os seus lugares. E também aqui nós temos atrás desses grandes senhores, parte da equipe
Nice to meet
que
you, all these
liderou
big
a
guys
realização dessa
and part of the
COP15.
team that tried to help
Gratidão.
this team of COP15. Gratitude for everyone.
Chamamos agora para suas boas-vindas
Now we call for the welcome
Marina Silva,
Marina Silva,
Ministra do Meio Ambiente e Mudança
Minister
do
of the
Clima do
Environment
Brasil.
and the Climate Change in Brazil.
Bom dia a todos.
Good morning, everyone.
Primeiro eu quero
Firstly, I want to thank for God for being here,
e quero
and I want
cumprimentar de
to
um modo
compliment
muito especial
in a special
a
way
senhora Elizabeth
Elizabeth
Merman,
Merman,
diretora
that is the
executiva
executive director
do PNUMA.
from
Quero
PNUMA,
cumprimentar
and I want to
a
compliment
Anne
Anne
Franklin,
Franklin,
secretária executiva
that is the executive
da
secretary
Convenção das Espécies Migratórias.
from the Migratory
Muito obrigada
Species
pelo
Convention,
trabalho, por todo o
CMS.
esforço.
Thanks for all the work, for all
João
the
Paulo
effort.
Capobianco,
I want to thanks to João
biólogo
Paulo,
e ambientalista,
that is the biology and
presidente
ambientalist.
designado da
He is the
COP15
president designed
e
from
secretário
COP15,
executivo do Ministério
and he
do
is
Meio
the
Ambiente e Mudança
executive
do
minister
Clima,
from the climate
e junto
change,
com ele,
and with
toda a
him,
equipe
all of the
que
team
liderou esse
that leader
processo
this process
durante esses meses
all along these
após
these
termos
months.
feito a COP30. não é
After
isso?
we
Capô
have
junto
done the
com o Ministério de
COP30,
Relações Exteriores.
that was with the
Está
Minister of
aqui vendo
Exterior
todos os
Relations.
senhores e senhoras.
It's a huge and magnificent thing to see you here, people like the president, the biology, dedicated the whole life to protect the biodiversity. Through the research, Rita Mesquita, that is our biodiversity secretary, the president from the institute, from the environmental renewable energy, from our president, from the protection institution, Mauro Pires, and people like Braulio, and I wanted to thank him and thank you for everybody from the team. This work is just worth because a strong relationship with the secretary and all the people from this team that dedicated all their effort. Maurício Lírio, Climate Change Secretary and Energy Environment from Itamaraty. You are here representing our ambassador, Mauro. Thanks for every work, and thanks for the governor, Eduardo Riedel. That was the guy from the first moment offered to work at the COP15 here in Mato Grosso do Sul. That was a partnership that was very worth for all these results. Thanks for Adriane Lopes too, that is the mayor from Campo Grande, that is going to have the name of the city written forever on this COP30. Eloy Terena, that is executive secretary from the indigenous people that honor us with her presence, that is representing all the indigenous people and all the traditional people in Brazil.
Mesquita,
Rodrigo Agostinho, Rita Mesquita, and also Mauro Pires, that I have already mentioned, but Dr. Herman Benjamin, that is the president of the Justice Tribunal in Brazil, that dedicates his life to make the justice in Brazil, environmental justice, to extend for the human beings, for everyone. I went firstly in name of the President Lula da Silva, that yesterday participated in the segment of high level, has the honor to start, to begin this 10th part of the convention about migratory species and wild animals. The decision to organize this event here after 3 months, the COP30, demonstrates strongly the strong compromise by the governor from Brazil with the sustainability, with the environment and the climate change in Brazil. I want to thank for the people from Mato Grosso do Sul and from this beautiful city that welcome us with generosity and exuberance in life. The Pantanal is an environment with meetings, so welcome for everyone. It's where the rivers become lakes, where the forest gets open in fields, where the birds from north and south, they find their place to rest. It's a live frontier. It's a place that you remember that the life flourishes. And the natural, it's not divided in strict lines, but they get together in transitions, generosity transitions. This view, this vision, this inspiring vision that most guide the works from this conference. We must connect nations, politicians, science, and traditional knowledge to guarantee that the migratory species follow their way. The life is a border crossing. It's a meeting, it's a continuous working. We must protect these roads. It's to feed the hope that the planet can keep alive and diverse. We live in a time, in an urgent time. The shared regulatory from CMS about the conservation species shows us that 49% represent decline from populational decline, and 24% is instinct ameaçado. Factors like pressure, the climate change, the ecosystems hurt, the biodiversity lost, and the pollution impact not only the species, but impact the security for food and the water, and the quality of food and water for everyone. That's why this COP15 must bring advances that is about the ampliation and increase and the protection from species that is going to help the species that are on the PDF of the work. The cooperation of the national work is destined for the simultaneous production and strength for transversal ways in times as connectivity,
and climate change. The next days, we will have the opportunity to launch a bright message for the world. If we work together, it's possible to conciliate developing and preserving. It's possible to develop rich and money without hurting the species and the natural. With that, we can have a prosperity cycle. Brazil wants to turn on again the light, the multilateralism team, and help the biodiversity. So Brazil wants the help from everyone to help on this way. I want to thank with so much grateful everyone and Campo Grande City to welcome us. Thanks a lot for everyone who came to plus us with effort. I hope that this conference is a decisive step to guarantee that the species continues flying, swim, and walk in the planet. I want to remember you that the life is a movement, and the future from this and from the next generation, it depends on our courage to act now. The governance of migratory species is not territorialist. It's a governance in flux. And we hope that we can establish on this COP15 and help every species and all the kinds of lives that exists in the world. Welcome from everyone, and thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for all the effort that you have already done and the effort that we will do in the future.
Now we're going to have the speech of Mrs. Minister Mirema, Director Executive of United Nations for the Environment.
Very much for bringing the CMS family and the world here to Brazil. Mr. João Paulo Capobianco, President-designate for COP15, Mr. Mauricio Leo, Secretary of Energy, Climate and Environment here in Brazil, Mr. Eduardo Riedel, Governor of Mato Grosso do Sul, Ms. Adrienne Lopez, Mayor of Campo Grande, Herman Benjamin, President of the Superior Court of Justice here in Brazil, my colleague and friend, Amy Frankel, plus your team, thank you very much for all the substantive preparations for this COP. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. At a time of geopolitical tension and uncertainty, one important truth stands out clearly. Environmental multilateralism Protecting these species cannot be achieved by one country acting alone. Their survival depends on all of us in a coordinated international action. It is therefore especially befitting that we gather here in Campo Grande at the gateway of Pantanal, the world's largest tropical wetland ecosystem. This extraordinary transboundary biome is a living example of ecological connectivity in action. And allow me to express our deep appreciation to the people and government of Brazil for hosting this CMS COP15. Brazil's leadership is both timely and significant. As most of the diverse country on Earth, Brazil plays a critical role for migratory species across forests, wetlands, rivers, and oceans. Its ecosystems supports global flyways, vast freshwater migrations, and marine routes that connect continents. In many ways, Brazil embodies the very principles of CMS: connectivity, cooperation, and shared responsibility, making it a natural and compelling host for this conference, for which we are all grateful. As one writer, Haruki Murakami, once said, and I quote, "Migratory birds have no concept of borders between countries," end of quote. Nor do ecosystems, and nor do the challenges they face. Over the years, the CMS has built a strong track record in strengthening cooperation and synergies across environmental agreements, contributing to the global priorities such as the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, as well as the Sustainable Development Goals. CMX works closely with other multilateral conventions, including the Convention on Biological Diversity, Convention on International Trade of Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, or CITES, as well as the Ramsar Wetland Convention, to mention but a few. The Samarkand Strategic Plan for Migratory Species 2024 to 2032 plays a significant role in supporting countries to integrate migratory species into national biodiversity strategies and action plans. We in UNEP are proud to administer the CMS Secretariat, which is hosted by the government of Germany, and do provide scientific, technical, and policy support to the parties. Our scientific work underpins CMS action, including the landmark report on the state of the world's migratory species, which was issued in 2024. And this COP will receive an updated status since 2 years ago. At national and regional levels, UNEP supports countries in implementing CMS obligations, strengthening environmental law, and enhancing access to knowledge through platforms such as Informea. We also deliver concrete impact on the ground, from administering the African Elephant Fund to supporting regional initiatives such as the Transboundary Ecosystems programs. And before I finish, I would like to take this opportunity to express my sincere and profound appreciation, both myself but also of UNEP, to Amy Frankel for her dedicated leadership and service as the CMS Executive Secretary since 2019. Her commitment has greatly strengthened the work of the convention and its community. And for me personally, the profound memories of Amy, which she will leave me with behind, is her perseverance in highlighting the importance and the understanding of the ecological connectivity, a principle which now is finding its inspiration in several key documents, including the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework. As she prepares to retire at the end of May this year, we thank her warmly for her contribution, not only to the CMS work, but actually her work goes beyond that work in the United Nations as a whole, especially UNEP, because I recall her past years as the regional director of our North America, and later as the director of the Convention on Biological Diversity Secretariat. I wish her a very fulfilling and well-deserved retirement when it happens. But at this point, allow me, as already notified through a formal CMS notification, that I'm pleased to introduce the new Executive Secretary of the CMS, and that is Andrew Rain, who has now been appointed as the new CMS Executive Secretary as of 1st June 2026. With your permission, I would like Andrew, if you could stand wherever you are, and I think is on that side, so that all can see you and greet you. That is your new Executive Secretary. I'm certain that the valuable work at the CMS
trabalho valioso
as will be
do seu
left by
secretariado
Jeremy, will be in safe hands and further grow, and that transition will be smooth with no interruption. Distinguished delegates, we at UNEP remain committed to continue working with CMS, with the parties and partners to turn the decisions taken here in Campo Grande into concrete actions, actions that protect migratory species and deliver lasting benefits for ecosystems and communities alike. Thank you very much.
Nesse momento, chamo o senhor Eloy Terena.
At this moment,
ministro
I want to invite
substituto dos
Eloy
povos
Mirena, that is the Minister of Indigenous People, to compose the table.
Teremos agora o discurso da senhora Amy Frankel.
Amy Frankel, that is Secretary from the Executive from the CMS Species Migratory. Muito obrigado. Ministra Marina Silva, agora eu queria agradecer muito a Marina também e o
and Justice Antonio Benjamin and others at the podium, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, I am very pleased to welcome you all to the 15th meeting of the Conference of the Parties to the Convention on the Conservation of Migratory Species of Wild Animals. I would like to express my sincere gratitude and appreciation to President Lula da Silva and the government of Brazil, the state of Mato Grosso do Sul, the city of Campo Grande, and the people of Brazil for hosting COP15 here at the gateway to the Pantanal, the world's largest tropical wetlands and a critical habitat for migratory species. I would also like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the government of Uzbekistan for their leadership and COP presidency since COP14 in Samarkand. I would like to thank you, Elizabeth, for your kind words, but I will save my goodbyes for my closing remarks. We have a COP to deliver.
Yes.
The theme for COP15, Connecting Nature to Sustain Life, underscores that ecological connectivity is not only essential for migratory species, it supports all life on Earth, including our own, and our economies, our livelihoods, our health, our security, and our future. The work of CMS is firmly grounded in science and knowledge. At COP14, we launched the first State of the World's Migratory Species Report. In the 2 years since, parties, partners, and the Secretariat have already undertaken a tremendous amount of work to address its findings and recommendations. This body of work underpins much of the documentation for the discussions before us this week. Now, CMS is incredibly fortunate to have the most dedicated scientific experts in our sessional committee of the Scientific Council who advance our work throughout the intersessional period. And CMS attracts the scientific community all over the world who actively contribute to our shared objectives at the global and national level, including here in Brazil. CMS is unique and special, and I know this COP will be no different. We are continuing to bring cutting-edge scientific assessments to assist the work of this body at this COP. In addition to the interim state of the world's migratory species report prepared for CMS by UNEP WCMC, tomorrow we will be launching a global assessment on freshwater fish, led by one of our COP-appointed counselors. We have also published important studies on the impacts of deep-sea mining and the effects of climate change on migratory species, to name just a few of the new assessments. Now, the interim report of the state of the world's migratory species finds that while there have been positive changes in the conservation status of some CMS-listed species, the overall trends are concerning. 24% of CMS-listed species are now globally threatened. So they're in one of the three categories that make them globally threatened. That means closer to extinction. That's up 2% since COP14. And 49% have declining populations, up 5%. However, against these trends, there are important success stories that demonstrate what we can do when we work persistently and collaboratively together. The recovery of the green turtle, the saiga antelope, and the emperor goose, just to name a few, stand as powerful examples of what international cooperation can achieve. 4 decades after being classified as endangered, the green turtle has recently been reclassified by the IUCN as a species of least concern. Similarly, populations of saiga antelope in Kazakhstan have shown a remarkable recovery after a 95% crash in the global population numbers that dropped to a low of about 50,000 in the early 2000s. Today, they've surged to more than 3 million. The population of the emperor geese has increased by about 2% each year since the 1980s due to strict harvest closures and conservation management. Both the alarming trends and the success stories underscore that the recommendations from the 2024 report remain not only valid, but increasingly urgent. The Samarkand Strategic Plan for Migratory Species was built on the findings of that report. And through the leadership of the chair of our standing committee and of its working group, the strategic plan has now been fully developed and will serve as an important measure of our progress after a discussion here. Now, the agenda at this COP15 contributes directly to the recommendations of the State of the World's Migratory Species Report and to the implementation of the Strategic Plan for Migratory Species. There are a record number of species proposed for listing under the Convention's appendices, alongside targeted measures and concerted actions. There are many important areas for work related to avian, terrestrial, and aquatic species alike. There are also many cross-cutting issues to consider. One of the main threats to migratory species is overexploitation, including both targeted taking and incidental capture. Of great concern is the fact that illegal or unsustainable taking for domestic reasons is a greater threat to most migratory species than international trade. COP14 strengthened our focus on this topic, and here at COP15, we have proposed additional ways to advance our work, including the launch this week of a new global initiative on the taking of migratory species. Habitat destruction and fragmentation is the other top threat. CMS has been a leader on ecological connectivity and has helped to elevate this issue as a top conservation priority, underscored yesterday by President Lula President Peña of Paraguay, and other distinguished speakers. But we have to go further to ensure that Target 3 of the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, which calls for 30% of the planet to be conserved, but through well-connected and effectively managed systems of protected areas and other conservation measures. We need to identify, protect, and connect important habitats across international borders. Addressing bycatch remains a critical area of work. It remains the greatest threat to endangered aquatic species, and with 97% of all CMS-listed fish species globally threatened with extinction, the time has come to radically improve how we address this threat. The jaguar, one of the most iconic species of the Americas, depends on connected landscapes across borders to maintain viable populations. Without these ecological corridors, their populations become isolated and fragmented, placing them at greater risk. And when human activities encroach on their habitat, human-wildlife conflicts, illegal killing, and illegal trade can follow. In closing, looking out across this room, I am inspired and confident when I see all of the representatives of governments, of UN agencies, of biodiversity conventions, the scientists, conservation experts, civil society groups, indigenous peoples and local communities, and many others who are here to work together to advance our progress under CMS. Together, I know we are up to the task. Thank you all for your dedication, your expertise, your friendship, and your unwavering commitment to migratory species. I wish everyone a productive and a very successful COP15. Thank you.
Mr. Mauricio Lira, Secretary of Energy, Climate and Environment, and Ministry of External Relations.
Dear Marina Silva, that is the President, Capo Bianco, Executive Secretary Anne Franco, the Vice Secretary Executive Mari Mirella, dear President Ervan Benjamin, Governor Rido, the Mayor Adriana, I want to thank you, the welcoming and everything that we had here, and Ana Rita too. Dear representatives, and from the diverse delegations from the countries, I want to thank you too for being here. I'm so happy for seeing so many people here to discuss the conservation topic about the CMS in a moment that we are facing a big destruction. It is satisfaction to see this auditory full and crowded. I'm going to make my speech in English.
Linked to addressing inequality, poverty, and hunger. It is a strategic and coordinated policy approach that integrate environmental conservation with socio-economic development, placing migratory species at the center of this agenda. Flyways, wetlands such as the Pantanal, and forest corridors act as the planet's ecological highways, sustaining ecosystem services that underpin agriculture, fisheries, and water security. Migratory species are central to this approach. Protecting them is climate policy, biodiversity policy, and development policy at the same time. But nice words and good intentions are not enough. Connectivity has costs. Translating these adequate and predictable means of implementation. Restoration, enforcement, and community engagement are resource-intensive and essential for maintaining ecosystem services. Many developing countries, despite hosting globally significant ecosystems, face constraints in technical capacity as well as financial and human resources. To bridge this gap, financial mechanisms, technical cooperation, and capacity building based on CBDR, as President Lula stated yesterday, and I would recommend a lot for those who did not have the opportunity to attend or to listen to the speech by President Lula, to do it because it's a very strong and important speech on this domain. But all these must match political ambition. Otherwise, connectivity will remain an unmet promise with direct consequence for development and food security. Hosting CMS COP15 in Campo Grande, close to Pantanal, reinforces this imperative. The region exemplifies how climate change, biodiversity loss, and social vulnerability converge, directly affecting food systems, water availability, and economic stability. Droughts and wildfires are not abstract risks. They disrupt the species' habitats, food production, livelihoods, and the well-being of communities. In this context, conserving migratory species goes beyond simply enabling movement across borders. It is about linking environmental stewardship to concrete development outcomes, strengthening ecosystems, and ensuring that global commitments translate into tangible benefits for people on the ground, empowering them in turn to actively contribute to the conservation of these species. I thank you very much.
Agradeço a participação na mesa e convido a todos os integrantes
With delight,
ocupem agora, nesse momento, lugar
we invite all members of the panel to take a seat in the audience to enjoy a very special moment, a cultural presentation that brings living biodiversity into practice. Obrigado. Thank you.
Estamos aqui hoje.
We're here today not only for the importance from places where species pause to the melody of their harmonious journey, or to reach their destination, their home, to feed or to mate. We're here to protect the biodiversity. We are here to protect our dependent species. We are eco-dependent. I can smell the village here in this place. I can smell the beginnings. We must not and cannot walk towards to the end. We can and we must to walk to our oranges, which there lie the answers that can guarantee our future. For the past is ahead and the future is within us. Dance is the soul of Terena people, a celebration of resistance that use the figure of the Ria as an inspiration of strength. The Ria does not migrate between countries, but needs large preserved territories to survive. The Ria dance takes place at different times in the Terena communities. marking festivals, celebrations, and dates that preserve time and memory. Worn by warriors and bamboo that dance careers in these movements, the marks of struggles, ancestral memories, and the strength of a people who express themselves through their bodies. Each gesture pulsates with history. Each step echoes resistance and belonging. Hanatik Dance Group. We have a pleasure to remember that our minister, for indigenous people, Eloy Terena, he's from these same people, indigenous, that just presented all here on the stage. At this moment, we're going to invite three leaderships that represent the academy and social movement for a quick talk, an inspiration talk with more than 30 years. Adriane da Silva Soares, Adriane Quilombola, this is one of the more expressive voices to articulate our communities. The global market emphasizes there's no conservation. Adriana is personification of this fight here in Brazil.
Axé, Baxapá. Good morning. In name of the Quilombola people and indigenous traditional people, I want to welcome everybody that is here, to everybody in the territory of the guardians people of Pantanal. This is not only a geographic place. This is a life territory, memory, ancestrality, resistance. Each one of us, each tree, each piece of land brings the history of our people, of our ancestor people, the responsibility that we assume to take care of present. In the future, we traditional people, we see the earth not only as a market. The earth is the mother, sustaining her identity. We take from her our spirituality, our culture, our strength, and that's why we defend with so strong the permanence of our territory. I want to reinforce here a urgent step and a urgent thing that is the demarcation from our territory. Without this knowledge from our community, continues with vulnerability and invisibility. We are fighting a struggle and a hard fight because we suffer with risk, and the Pantanal suffers through the risk because Pantanal is one of the richest places in the world, and it just continues alive because there are people that preserves and save the earth and the Pantanal, that respect the time of nature and keep alive the biodiversity. The balance, the environmental balance that we always defend begins in the practice in our territory. That's why we also defend separation of areas and rebuilding for us and for everyone. That we all be a small bird that is small in the size but big in the defense in our territory, in our biome. Thanks a lot. Adriane. This wall is the size of 2 underwings. Because if I would say that it's 2 meters, anyone, Steve, could jump here. But the size of 2 underwings, that's what we need. Thanks a lot for your speech. Dr. Alexander Zerbini, that is a renowned scientist based in Seattle, with 3 decades of experience on the front lines of marine conservation, a PhD from the University of Washington, and former president of Scientific Committee of the International Whaling Commission. Dr. Zerbini is a global reference in satellite telemetry and cetacean biology. Working with NOAA and the Aquili Institute, he combines cutting-edge science with practical strategies for preservation of endangered species.
Good morning. Distinta maneira, Marina Sena, muito prazer. Algumas
of the parties to the Convention on Conservation of Migratory Species of Wild Animals, where our shared responsibility to protect migratory species bring us together across borders and disciplines. Whale Cetaceans traverse entire ocean and river basins, linking ecosystems across thousands of kilometers. At this very moment, dolphins are moving across national jurisdictions, and recovering humpback whales are migrating from polar feeding grounds to protected breeding areas, including a population that winters in Abrolhos Bank right here in Brazil. The movement of these animals is not random. They are the threads that stitch together the ecological fabric of our oceans. But these threads are fraying. These connections are under increasing strain. Today, nearly 1 in 4 cetacean species is threatened with extinction. Ship strikes, entanglements in fishing gear, underwater noise, pollution, and climate-driven habitat change do not act in isolation. They accumulate and intensify. These pressures have pushed species such as the vaquita and the Arabian Sea humpback whale to the brink of extinction. And this is not only a conservation crisis, it reflects the challenge of managing human activities across connected ocean systems. And yet, there is reason for cautious optimism. We now have powerful tools to better understand and protect this species. Advances in data science allow us to identify critical habitats and model population trends with increased precision. As a former chair of the Scientific Committee of the International Whaling Commission, I can attest that the Commission has data on abundance and status of cetacean populations to inform conservation. We now also have satellite telemetry to track whale movements across the ocean basins. We have passive acoustic monitoring that reveals their presence even when we can't see them. These tools show us something fundamental. Cetaceans depend on connected migratory pathways that must remain safe if populations are to recover. And that brings us to a central reality. No single nation can protect a migratory species alone. A whale protected in one jurisdiction may face threats in another. Conservation must therefore be as interconnected as the species themselves. The Convention on Migratory Species, together with the International Whaling Commission and other organizations, agreements and conservation organizations, provides the framework to coordinate this effort. But framework alone is not enough. We must move from commitment to implementation. This includes reducing bycatch through effective fishing gear modification, managing vessel traffic to reduce ship strikes, addressing underwater noise as a measurable stressor, and ensuring that conservation actions are equitable and inclusive of coastal communities. Science is not the limiting factor. We have the data, we understand most of the threats, and we have many of the solutions. The challenge is scaling action to match the problem. Cetaceans are more than conservation targets. They are indicators of ocean health. When their population thrive, it reflects resilient ecosystems and sustainable human activity. Their survival is ultimately a test of our ability to work together across countries and across conventions to protect not only these species, but the ecosystems that we all depend on. So the question is not whether we can protect whales and dolphins, but whether we will act collectively and with urgency. If we fail, the silence in our ocean will reflect what we lost. But if we succeed, we will show the world that international cooperation can rise to meet the challenges of a changing planet. And before I finish, I'd like to thank the government of Brazil for giving me the opportunity to speak to all of you today. I wish everyone a productive meeting, and I hope that if you have the chance, you go visit the majestic of the Pantanal wetlands. Thank you. Merci. Muchas gracias. Muito obrigado.
Tatiana Neves, bióloga, mestre em oceanografia, bióloga e especialista em aves marinhas.
And she is a specialist in
Apaixonada pelo
marine
oceano desde a
birds.
infância.
She's passionate about. She created the Albatross project in Santos, São Paulo, that was dedicated to the preservation of albatross and petrels that interact with the fishing of palang-pedágio in Brazilian rivers. Good morning. The chosen theme for this 10th reunion of the parts of CMS is connecting the life to sustain, connecting the environment to sustain the life. Nobody better than the albatross, the ocean travelers to show us how important it is. They are highly adapted to the marine life, passing almost the life over the ocean and returning to Earth only to feed, to have food. They have the biggest height among all the planet's birds. The albatross has 3 meters from one side of a window to another one. It goes all over the ocean, goes to every place. Sometimes they can reach. Sometimes there can be birds that can be in the New Zealand and from coast of Brazil or American South. The albatross connect continents. All over these ways, they interact with many fishers' places and fishers' boats. The most important one is the fish with spine. That is the line to take high and big fishes like tuna and spadarios. While the fishermen do this activity that is important to generate money and work, the albatross trees, they are concentrated back the boats to eat the spinels. Most of the times they are caught by these fishermen, and most of the times they die on the ocean. It's bad for the trees, for the birds that are struggling this kind of problem. So solve this problem is a solution for the environment and for the other species and for the world too. And we need to solve the problem with many other species that are in the places that are not worth to. This kind of problem can make this problem and increase this problem for the birds, and it can help for the decline for the population of these birds. The good news is that there are efforts from the world and from international people to help these species, from researchers, international researchers, to avoid the capture from this species. Like for example, the Tory line, that is a place that avoid the birds coming over the boats, or they like it. They rather to put the fisher to take the fish during the night. This is one of the measures that is recommended from ACAPI. That is the deal to help the betrayers and not to harm their species. We know that the level of compromise of the conservation way is varied between among nations. Strict rules in some places can be harmed by other places that are not protected. According with that, we ask, how can we save the preservation from these species? The answer is the international cooperation, international deals, multilateralism, and environmental deals to help these species. The board ships, the board fishermen, they have their function, their role. If today the albatross asked me, what do I see watching this room? I would answer without hesitating. Hopeful. I hope the contribution from everyone here, I hope the contribution from everyone to help this species. I have hope in everybody here and hope that the every world is going to help because the environment doesn't have a frontier. We are this hope. We are the hope from all the species that migrate all over the country and depends on our choices that we make here. We know that the challenge is huge. We know the weight of the responsibility that we carry. But it's because of that this moment is important a lot. I hope that this week is guided by cordial cooperation, by a deep sense of purpose. Each thing that we decide here is a real step for a better world, a fair world, and more connected world too. And at the end, we can say that we were on the height of this calling, that we can together sustain the life, to strengthen the connectivity from our efforts as people, as nations, and as humanity. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Adriane, Mr. Zerbini, Tatiane, to inspire us and to bring this verb, hope, that we could always have this warm inside my heart with these phrases and have a hope. We're going to reach to our origins and get our future. At this moment, to celebrate the riches of our biodiversity, we now welcome one of the Brazil's greatest instrumentalists, Marcelo Loreto, with a technique that unites the strength of South American border, with the sophistication of global string instruments. Marcelo is the living sound of the Pantanal. To his instruments, he guides us to the rivers and plains that COP15 seeks to protect. His music knows no borders, integrating Brazil, Paraguay, and Bolivia in a single chord of preservation. With you, the sonic soul of Mato Grosso do Sul, Marcelo Loreto. The first piece is Pantanal, a hit by Marcos Viana, which will perform on the guitar. The song was the theme of a telenovela of the same name and became an anthem of the region due to the telenovela's great success, even internationally.
The next song is called Luzeiro, and it's by Almir Sater, one of the greatest exponents of South Mato Grosso do Sul music. Marcelo Loureiro interprets the theme on the viola caipira guitar, a typical instrument of the Brazilian backlands that has been incorporated into the regional repertoire. Luzeiro simulates the gallop of a horse. Caipira guitar. Brave. Beautiful. To finish and conclude this presentation, Marcelo Loureiro is going to perform one of the classic of Brazil and Paraguay border music, Cascada, that it's made by Digno Garcia. The melody on the harp evokes the crystal clear waters on a waterfall, with contagious rhythm and an enchanting harmony that's enchanting everyone. With you, Marcelo Loureiro.
Bravo.
Beautiful. Thanks a lot, Marcelo. With this inspiration in biodiversity, with this, we want to thank for everyone, and we want to say that we have a great ancestral speech. The, the past is in the future, and the future is in us.
Thank you.
Não tá rolando não. Acho que não saiu o áudio lá. Acabou?
ya con el Plan Estratégico de Samarcanda 2024-2032. A nivel regional estamos fomentando la cooperación con la iniciativa CAMI de mamíferos de Asia Central, garantizando que nuestras especies icónicas, incluyendo el leopardo de las nieves o el antílope saiga, cuenten con un futuro seguro gracias a la cooperación transfronteriza. A nivel nacional hemos plasmado los objetivos internacionales a nivel nacional, ampliando la superficie de áreas protegidas a un 14% de nuestro territorio. Y nos hemos convertido en el primer país en nuestra región en alinear nuestros objetivos nacionales con el Marco Mundial de Biodiversidad.
I hereby declare the 15th meeting of the Conference of Parties to the Convention on the Conservation of Migratory Species of Wild Animals open. Well, I invite the meeting to take up agenda item 2, election of officers. In accordance with the Rule 12 of the Rules of Procedure, the following officers shall be elected by the conference in its first session: a chair of the conference, a chair of the committee of the whole, who shall also serve as a vice chair of the conference, and a vice chair of the committee of the whole. I would like to propose that the conference elect the following officers: His Excellency João Paulo Ribeiro Capabianco of Brazil as the chair of the conference, Mr. Khalid Cherki of Morocco as chair of the committee of the whole, and Ms. Inke Gnitke of Germany as vice chair of the committee of the whole. Are there any objections? Well, I hear no objection. I declare the election of His Excellency João Paulo Ribeiro Capabianco as chair of the conference, Mr. Khalid Cherki as the vice chair of the conference of parties and chair of the committee of the whole, and Ms. Inke Gnitke of Germany as vice chair of the committee of the whole. With these elections and in line with the rules of procedure, we now have a complete bureau of the conference. It will be comprised of all members of the standing committee, the chair of the scientific council, the chair and vice chair of the conference, and the vice chair of the committee of the whole. I now have the honor to hand over the chairing of this meeting to the distinguished Deputy Minister Capabianco. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a pleasure, honor to be here in this very important moment. So I'd like to I invite the meeting to take up the agenda item 3, adoption of the agenda and meeting schedule. We shall now turn to the adoption of the provisional agenda and the provisional annotated agenda and meeting schedule for the 15th meeting of the CMS Conference of Parties. I invite the distinguished delegates to turn their attention to the document 3.1 Rev 1, Provisional Agenda and Documents, and document 3.2, Provisional Annotated Agenda and Meeting Schedule. Are there any suggested modifications to the provisional agenda, the provisional annotated agenda, and the meeting schedule? I see no one, so I declare them adopted. Agenda item point 4. I draw your attention, distinguished delegates, to agenda item 4, rules and procedures. I'd like to remind delegates that the applicable rules of procedures to the meeting are those as adopted at COP15. Any comments? I see none. I invite the meeting to turn your attention to item 5, establishment of in-section committees. According to the Rule 3.3, a credentials committee of not more than 5 representatives from at least 3 regions shall examine the credentials submitted by parties to the Secretariat of the Convention and shall report thereon to the meeting. It has been the practice of the conference to elect 1 representative from each of the 5 regions to review the credential of officials delegation. Before I start to call upon each region to nominate their representatives, let me explain how microphones work. Whether you are called to speak or you request the floor, please press the blue button with the microphone region sign on it. Once you press the button, the light in your microphone will start flashing red. When you are given the floor, it will turn solid red. I'd like to call upon Oceania for their nomination. Just 1 minute, please. Now, New Zealand, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Chair. The Oceania region is pleased to nominate Australia for the Credentials Committee for COP15. Thank you.
I'd like to call upon Africa for their nomination. Please, Africa, we're waiting for your nomination, please.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah. Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe, you have the floor.
Thank you. Africa still needs to consult, and then we'll revert back to you with a nominee for the region in the Credentials Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Africa. You have taken note. I'd like to call upon Asia for their nomination. Okay, India, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair, and we recommend Saudi Arabia for Asia nomination.
Thank you, India. You have taken note. I'd like to call upon Europe for their nomination. Please, Europe, we are waiting for your nomination.
Thank you, Chair. May we return on this in a little bit, please? May we return on this issue in a little bit, please? Thank you.
Okay, I would like to call upon Latin American and Caribbean. Uruguay.
Hola.
You have the floor.
Thanks, Chair.
El GRULAC quiere proponer a Perú
GRULAC would like to
como miembro del
propose
Comité de
Peru
Credenciales.
as a member of the Credentials Committee.
Thank you, Uruguay. We have taken note. Africa, we have Zimbabwe? No. Okay, I'll come back to Africa to indicate their representative. The nomination, please. Africa. Zimbabwe, you have the floor.
Zimbabwe volunteered to represent the region in the Credentials Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Africa. We have taken note. So we turn back to Europe, please. European Union, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. We will consult internally and get back to you later today.
Okay, thank you. So I hereby declare that the Credentials Committee will be composed of the following countries: Australia, Zimbabwe, Saudi Arabia, Peru, and we are waiting for the nomination from Europe. Thank you. In addition, in accordance with Rule 6, we shall establish the Committee of the Whole, call, to advance the business of the meeting with respect to agenda item 14 through 31. According to the same rule, the Committee of the Whole is tasked with making recommendations to the conference on any matter of a scientific or technical nature, including proposals to amend the appendices of the convention and recommendations on financial, administrative, and any other matter to be decided by the conference. Are there any objections? I see none, so is so decided. The establishment of the working groups, their mandates, and the organization of work can be taken up by the first session of the Committee of the Whole later today. Thank you. So I invite the meeting to take up agenda item 6, admission of observers. The Secretariat has prepared a list of observers and presented it as Doc 6, consistent with the criteria sent out in the Convention and the rules of procedures, United Nations specialized agencies, the International Atomic Energy Agency, any state not a party of the Convention may be represented by observers at meetings of the Conference of the Parties. Also, in accordance with the rules of procedures, the conference is now invited to admit international and national agencies or bodies, governmental or non-governmental, listed in document 6 that have informed the Secretariat their desire to be represented at the meeting by observers. Are there any objections to those agencies and bodies listed in document 6? If no objections, I hereby confirm that organizations listed in document 6 are permitted to be represented in this meeting. I would be grateful if you could now turn your attention to item 7, report of the COP presidency. I invite the representative of the government of Uzbekistan to take their statement. Uzbekistan, you have the
Thank
floor.
Sorry. Thank you, Chair. President of the Republic of Uzbekistan, His Excellency Shavkat Mirziyoyev, has elevated environmental issues to the highest level of the state priority, viewing ecological health as a prerequisite for regional security and sustainable development. His leadership is defined by a shift from reactive measures to proactive, integrated regional strategy. During the period 2024-2026, the Republic of Uzbekistan held the presidency of the Conference of the Parties to the Convention on the Conservation of Migratory Species of Wild Animals. Uzbekistan became the first Central Asian nation to host a CMS COP, signaling the region's growing importance as a critical hub for migratory pathways. Under the leadership of Chairman Aziz Abduhakimov, the presidency successfully navigated the first major biodiversity conference since the adoption of the Ministerial Global Biodiversity Framework. The Samarkand meeting resulted in several first-of-the-kind outcomes that formed the core of Uzbekistan's mandate. The Samarkand Strategic Plan 2024-2032, a primary roadmap for migratory species that aligns CMS goals directly with global biodiversity targets. Deep-sea mining resolution, a landmark decision urging parties not to engage in deep-sea mining until impacts on migratory marine life are fully understood. State of the World's Migratory Species Report. This inaugural report revealed that 22% of CMS-listed species are threatened with extinction, providing the scientific call to action for the presidency. Uzbekistan has championed the concept that nature knows no borders by strengthening ties between global environmental agreements. Global Partnership on Ecological Connectivity, launched in Samarkand, this partnership has grown to 17 member organizations, including the World Bank and BirdLife International. A full-time coordinator was appointed in March 2025 to lead its activities. CITES COP20. Uzbekistan made history by hosting the 20th CITES COP, the first in Central Asia. This event resulted in improved protections for over 120 species, including 74 shark and ray species, and fostered critical coordination between CMS and CITES to combat illegal wildlife trade. In February 2025, a high-level event was held in Berlin to promote the accession of non-party states to the convention. The presidency has solidified transboundary cooperation through several regional initiatives. Central Asian Mammals Initiative, CAMI. At the CAMI Range States third meeting in Tashkent, a new work program 2026-2032 was adopted. Uzbekistan was elected as chair of CAMI, and the Pallas cat, Manul, was officially added to the list of CAMI species. Ustyurt Plateau Agreement. Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, and Turkmenistan joined a memorandum of cooperation to protect the transboundary populations of migratory species. Raptors MOU. Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, and Kyrgyzstan joined a memorandum of understanding on the conservation of migratory birds of prey in Africa and Eurasia. The first Central Asian office of the IUCN was established in Tashkent, marking a significant step for regional biodiversity coordination. Samarkand Declaration. The signing of the Samarkand Declaration in November 2025 marked a turning point for Central Asian diplomacy and a vital victory for the world's migratory species. The region established a regional cooperation action plan 2026-2032, providing a unified framework to protect critical migratory corridors. Uzbekistan has matched its global leadership with robust domestic environmental reforms. Atlas of Environmental Change, developed with UNEP, this analytical tool uses 6 decades of data and satellite technology to monitor ecosystems and climate change impacts. Updated Red Data Book. A new edition was published using IUCN Red List criteria featuring 189 animal species, down from 206 in 2019, reflecting targeted conservation successes. Protected areas. National Natural Heritage Site were increased from 185 to 212. And Jalterbas Lake was added to the Ramsar list of wetlands of international importance. The Bioheritage Nationwide Project. Uzbekistan launched a landmark $10 million nationwide project dedicated to the preservation of the country's unique biological and cultural heritage, especially in the areas with rare and endemic vital hotspots for migratory routes. Alignment with Global Biodiversity Framework, GBF. Uzbekistan has become a regional leader and officially published its new national biodiversity conservation targets under the UN Convention on Biological Diversity, one of the first in the region in 2024. We aimed at expanding protected areas from 14% to 30% by 2035. Establishment of additional 3 protected areas is being reviewed with the government. In a move to ensure that protected areas are not just paper parks, but are managed to the highest global standards, Uzbekistan has initiated the IUCN Green List of Protected and Conserved Areas process. The 2024-2026 presidency period focused on moving from resolution to implementation. Uzbekistan remains committed to support further activities within the CMS Convention. We have a great honor to hand over the presidency to the government of Brazil and wish successful leadership during the next 3 days. Thank you.
Thank you, Uzbekistan. Now we finish our morning section, and the COP will convene again at 3 p.m. addressing the agenda item 8. Thank you.
Hello, please, this is to let you know, members of the Credentials Committee, that they will be meeting now in the Giant Otter Room. So please, representatives from Australia, Zimbabwe, Saudi Arabia, Peru, and Netherlands. I understand that is the nomination. We will announce it later. Please go to the Credentials Room, Giant Otter. Thank you.